Yeah, welcome along for a very rare outing on a Monday night as two teams compete for the oldest trophy in rugby union as Selkirk and Melrose do battle at Netherdale for the 103rd Border League crown. Perhaps National League form has not paid off for both of these sides this season, both narrowly missing out on being in the mix for the prizes as their campaigns were derailed in the last few games, but there's still silverware to be had and both sides will be trying their best to wrestle the trophy back to their home patch. Selkirk, they topped their pool, which comprised of Hawick and Jed Forest, and the draw against the Scottish champions in the opening game of the season has been a blessing in disguise as they then put Jed to the sword at Philippoch a few months later to fight it out for what would be their 7th Border League crown. Melrose had two contrasting home victories, a narrow one against Kelso and a big one against Gala to give them a foot up to the final, and then a battling performance at the Gates on a rain-soaked Friday evening saw the Greenyards men put their name alongside Selkirk in this year's finale. The second most successful team in this competition will be looking to add another year to their roll of honour and pick up their 21st title. Selkirk perhaps start the game as marginal favourites due to their current position in the national rugby landscape and boast a mix of brains and brawn throughout. The forwards are packed with ball carriers such as James Head and Andrew Cochrane in the second row, and also industrious hoovers on the deck with the likes of McClymont and McComb in behind, ready to scrap it out on the floor. The backs have experience and youthful exuberance as Hamilton is preferred at scrum half ahead of McVicker and McComb, who line up on the wing and outside centre respectively, and Jackson, he's past fit to pull the strings at 10. Melrose can call on a fairly settled side that has been consistently thread throughout the selection this season. And Thomas Brown starts for his hometown club against a side he represented in previous Premiership campaigns. He'll wear number 4 and he'll contribute his shunt in behind the front row led by Owen Fairbairn and Cruikshanks. And scrum half Bruce Colvin will look to get the backs firing to lead him to a 5th personal title in the Border League, and he'll partner the experienced Truan Hutchison who lines up at fly half. The man in the middle, Ross Maben, who's the referee, is assisted by Sean Niven and Stephen Turnbull. Craig Jackson, who's been past fit at fly half, is going to get play underway as he just dots the ball down on the halfway line, and right-footed kick into the soaked sky here at Netherdale as Melrose pick the ball outside their 22 and just steady the ship earlier on in proceedings here in this Border League final. McConnell carrying forward as Colvin orchestrates in behind the ruck, pass to Struan Hutchison who guddles it. He's under a whole lot of pressure as he throws a Hail Mary across, and Connor Spence has to sweep up the ball here, and a bit of a mismatch on the wing as he looks to take on McVicker, and it's been a shaky start here from Melrose, looking to compose themselves early on as Craig Jackson got play underway, and Melrose have played himself into a bit of pressure as Colvin now kicks downfield. Finlay Whelans gathers it just on the halfway line and splinters it infield to Craig Jackson, who bounced off one foot, goes into a bit of trouble as Melrose look to swarm the breakdown area and get the ball back on their side. Selkirk do well to fight on it on the floor. It's slow pedestrian ball coming out there as Ross Maben gives the penalty. There's going to be a first penalty to Selkirk, but Robin, that's a shaky start from Melrose.
Yes, it was pressure. It's a final, Dale, but it was Struan Hutchison of all people found himself in a bit of pressure, but yeah, Melrose did well to exit that after what they've got themselves in. A good kick by Bruce Colvin, but yeah, the first penalty of the game's been conceded, and that gives Selkirk now a reasonable attacking platform from which to work.
Solid scrum now as both front rows collide. A little nudge coming on there from Melrose, and it's a free kick to Selkirk. McComb tapping and going and taking it forward. Hamilton digging about with the ball there. It looked like it was a little knock on, but it's been tipped on there to Nixon from Petty in close quarter action. Jackson having to stoop down low to try and gather that ball as he stabs a kick into the in-goal area, but it's just going to be watched back there by Hamish Weir. A little bit too much on that kick there as Selkirk look to try and get in behind, and Hamish Weir watched that well, but again it's perhaps a sign of the impressive defence that Melrose have that Craig Jackson looks to kick in behind.
Yeah, obviously the conditions tonight are little, grubber kicks in behind and putting pressure on the Melrose back three. That's obviously a tactic that him and Scott White have talked about, just with the slippery ball and the nature of the pitch. But encouraging start from the Melrose defensive point of view. Anyway, they've not had the ball in hand really, apart from the initial mistake at the beginning. But defensively, Selkirk certainly haven't had much joy yet in attack.
A scrum centre field just outside the Melrose 22. We've been camped inside the Melrose half since we kicked off 5 minutes ago. We'll have to be a little bit more patient here at this set piece and not try and push too early, but the shunt does come on from Selkirk and they manage to get it back on their side, and it's a messy set piece there. And Selkirk having to dive on the floor and try and get that. Scott McClyman almost opened the gap there and scampered in, but he's quickly swarmed round by the Melrose tops as the ball's carried forward there from James Head. Hamilton digging about, taking play down to a slower pace as Riddle now catapults himself into the Melrose defence. Hamilton getting there quicker, looking to take his time at the breakdown. Now Shafar carries forward, onside, makes a metre or two in contact. Now to Jackson, and he's just tipped on Aaron McComb, evading the defence. Sleight of hand there from the experienced fly half, and Aaron McComb starts at inside centre, just ghosts in for the opening score here. And after 6 minutes, it's Melrose 0, Selkirk 5.
To me, it was always going to be a case of how long Melrose can stay in the fight in this game. As Graeme alluded to, defensively they started really well, but the pressure just came on there. There was a big old scrum in there from Selkirk, their first scrum of the evening, and that's what ultimately put the pressure on Melrose. And yeah, lovely sleight of hand, as you said, Dale. Craig Jackson there showing all his experience, and you had a willing runner, Aaron McComb, and Melrose will need to hit back here. They'll need to stay in. They'll need to find a way to stay in the fight.
The conversion is successful as well from Craig Jackson, so 7-0 to Selkirk as they get the first blow here in the Border League final. Struan Hutchison with and it's a little delicate kick downfield to get play back underway. His return from Hamilton, left-footed and sclaffed off of the field. And it's made its way up towards the Selkirk 10 metre line, but this is the first time that we've seen Melrose in the Selkirk half, and there's going to have to be a reaction here, Graeme.
If you're going to compete with a team sort of 7 or 8 places above you in the national leagues, you've got to get your set piece right, and that was a poor scrum from Melrose that led to the Selkirk try, so the line-out has to be bang on.
Line-out is accurate there, it does go to the tail, but Ross Maben has brought that back, and it's a squint throw at the line-out, and this is perhaps going to be an area that it's going to be difficult for Melrose. The absence of the likes of Ben McLean who throws in, Graeme, that's going to, and Angus Runciman, as you've alluded to, it's critical, to win your set-piece ball.
Yeah, well, as you know, Dale, the spine of your team starts at 2, you've got 2, 5 and 8 there in your pack that has to be bang on, and obviously we're missing our first choice guys there, and going with the first scrum and the first line-out, it's not looking good set-piece wise.
The rain just drizzling down in a slight haze in front of the floodlights at Netherdale, making conditions slippery underfoot, and obviously with the ball in hand as well. Put into the scrum there, and again an infringement at the scrum means that Selkirk get a penalty. They kick downfield, and Robin, it looks like it's going to be a long afternoon up front for Melrose, because in the line-out and in the scrum it looks like Selkirk have certainly got the upper hand. Yeah,
Melrose just need to compose themselves, particularly at the line-out. The scrum, that's just raw power coming through there from Selkirk, and it's no slur on Melrose, because as Graeme mentioned there, this is a team in the league above them, and Melrose are just going to really have to dog this out now, try and get some kind of parity in the set piece, and try and build a platform from which to work, because we touched on pre-game, they've got backs that can do damage here. Don Crawford, Connor Spence, Hamish Weir on the wing with the dancing feet.
Thrown to the line out from Bruce Riddle. Again, a very useful member of the Selkirk squad, can play across that front row, and probably playing some of the best rugby that he played in his whole senior career for Selkirk. Accurate at that line out. And now it's into the hands of Shafar Jacques, who just splinters away from them all. Hamilton, he takes his time to get the ball away from the breakdown, does find a looping arc and run there from James Head, and he has to dig about again inside that set play there to try and dig the ball out. A little box kick downfield has been touchdown in goal, and perhaps there a sign of, if Hamilton's playing that ball slow, it does allow Melrose a little bit of time to set that defensive line. You run out of options, and he's looking to just try and kick for a shot to nothing.
I think obviously with Hamish and Connor Spence on the wings, I think they're trying to get these big guys turned round. I think that's apparent with Jackson's tactics as well as Hamilton. And Connor Spence has never really been tested as a winger, as you say, with a back row forward last year, and he's moved on to the wing. By God, he can run, but they're not really sure of his winger ability. So
Struan Hutchison now kicking the ball downfield, and Connor Spence has been asked to run now, but it's Crawford and Bruce Colvin leading the charge downfield. It's been gathered there by Josh Welsh, and he kicks an angled kick centre field onto the halfway line and makes very good ground there under a bit of pressure from Melrose, but as you say, it's those opportunities that we alluded to earlier on in the game, Graeme, that when Melrose turn the ball over, they like to get the ball wide, they like to get the runners into the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and counter-attack will be their play. I mean, that was obviously a drop ball by James Head. Robin can give him a working in the office tomorrow, but
I noted that.
But exactly that. Melrose backs are dangerous if they get ball in the open play, but they'll not get ball if they don't win their set piece.
An unorthodox line out there from Melrose this time, but it does find a Melrose hand as Thomas Brown now charges forward, just dips the shoulder to try and get a bit of momentum and a bit of leverage up front. Little box kick downfield has been chased by Hamish Weir. It's been well cleared by Josh Welsh yet again, but Melrose do make a bit of a territorial gain here in the kicking battle, and they have to be patient, they have to be clever against this Selkirk side, because Selkirk are a dangerous outfit.
Yeah, and they have to front up as well, and that's exactly what Tam Brown did on that occasion. That was a big carry from him. He really meant it, and I think he's came back to Melrose from Selkirk and the stint of the Knights as a better player, and yeah, you looked, there was plenty of ballast in that.
Again, a squint throw at the line out. A platform set up by Thomas Brown, and when Gregor Lindsay was hoisted at the back of that line out, it had just been drifting towards the outside shoulder. So it's going to be another set piece. It's going to be a put into the scrum for Selkirk, an area where they certainly had the upper hand. Just a reminder, 12 minutes gone here at Netherdale in the Border League final. It's Melrose 0 and Selkirk 7, and in the balance of play, it's probably quite a fair result.
Yeah, absolutely. Selkirk took their really only chance. They took it well, but you're not going to win a cup final, Dale, if you lose two line-outs and two scrums in the first 10 minutes. They're lucky to still be only 7-0 down, if we're being honest. And if they don't get the set piece sorted, it could be a long night.
Solid scrum there again from Selkirk. Hamilton, your ex-Boroughmuir scrum half, is preferred to the likes of McVicker. Just launches the ball to Aaron McComb, who has to reach pretty high to gather that, and he's been well matched by the Melrose defence as Hamilton tries to snipe from the breakdown. Now McClyman ducking and weaving, and McComb just rips the ball off of his back row partner and then feeds the ball to try and set up the platform. Again, Head just ducking that shoulder down, an important ball carrier for the Philip Hawke side as the bodies get there in abundance for Selkirk. Hamilton, a left-footed box kick downfield. Cottrell's chasing this. He gets up high on that one. He manages physically to beat David Colvin, but Donald Crawford perhaps just in front of the ball when it was in flight and touched by David Colvin. So offside there. It's a good attacking kick from Hamilton, a good one to contest, and Selkirk again, the penalty goes their way.
Yeah, maybe 50-50 for me. That maybe a wee bit harsh on Melrose, but as Graeme said, another line out the wetter eye. Actually, that was followed by their first half-decent scrum of the night. It was a solid scrum, but yeah, Selkirk again have made reasonably cheap and easy territory down the park, and another chance for them to see what they can do.
Line out, thrown to the tail again as James Head gathers. The ball manages to filter its way to the back as Bruce Riddle now has it in his hands. He's got a little bit of company there in a Melrose shirt, and that's well defended at the maul. And we know how dangerous an attacking maul is from the Green Yard side, but defensively that's accurate there from Melrose.
Yeah, that was our Melrose scrum half Bruce Colvin that got his sell on that maul, and we talked about it before the game. That's how much it means to him. He is like your old school Gary Armstrong. He's your fourth back rower, and dogged defence there from Melrose, and that's really what's keeping them in this game. Selkirk have had parity set piece and making good yards from the kicks from Jackson and Hamilton, but Melrose are keeping themselves in this, and if they get parity in the set piece, they can build something into this game.
Bruce Colvin, the effervescent and experienced scrum half, he's got 5 Border League titles of his own, 4 Border League titles, looking for his 5th, and playing as Graeme Dodds gratefully let us know that he's playing with a broken hand, so showing exactly what it means for the side as he feeds the ball into that scrum. Has been gathered at the back there by Elliot Ruthven, who picks up and bursts from the back of the scrum. Melrose having to work really hard at that breakdown as the bodies filter in from Selkirk, but the penalty does go the way of Melrose. Ross Nixon has been penalised for coming in at the side. Jack Hamilton's about to pop the ball into the scrum. He's partnered with Jackson, and McVicker and Welsh are on the wings with McComb and Cottrell in the centres with Whelans at fullback. front row putting in a good shift there of Petty, Riddle and Shafag-Jacques. And then Head and Cochrane adding their brunt. In second row is a great ball, is just filtered to Cottrell there, coming in a acute angle. And now he's well supported by the back row, Nixon, McClymont and McComb, who managed to get away from the scrum and add their support to the breakdown. Hamilton just starting up the pace slightly as Jackson floats a nice ball out wide there, but it's just been knocked on. Josh Welsh, who's opposite Hamish Weir on the far side here at Netherdale, on the banking side. Probably a more even battle than the one where Connor Spence is taking on Ethan McVicker. And certainly a bit of a mismatch there, but we're yet to see it come to fruition for either side, as Bruce Colvin breaks away from the scrum and shows his experience and awareness and rugby intelligence, but he's been bundled into touch. But certainly showed his physicality there as he carried the ball forward in towards the Selkirk half, and they're the sort of things that Melrose are going to be looking towards his experience to guide them up the pitch. And it's a put into the scrum there from Bruce Colvin. And it's a scrappy scrum there, but it has been, the penalties went the way of Melrose. And the referee just having a conversation with Luke Petty and Shafag-Jacques and explaining his decision. But that's certainly a reprieve there for Melrose. They win the penalty. And now Hutchison with a lengthy kick off the field. He's centre field, but he manages just to encroach on that Selkirk 22. Looking to go to the front there at the line out. It came back eventually into the hands of Cruikshanks, and he's tipped on there to Struan Hutchison. Melrose now, first real time that we've seen any sort of exerted pressure inside the Selkirk 22. They carry forward, the bodies get there and clear out. The players that were looking to try and scrap that ball on the floor. Ross McConnell carrying for Melrose now. And slow down slightly as Tam Brown just filters the ball out towards Will Ferry, but it's been knocked on. And perhaps a little bit too keen there from the second row to shovel the ball to a teammate. And perhaps a better option there, Graeme, was to just stick it under the jumper and take it forward.
I think so, Dale. Yeah, especially when it's the first real chance Melrose have had to get into the gold zone of the Selkirk 22, and just try and build. We've talked about it for the last 20 minutes, but build themselves into this game, and it's the first real chance they've had to build some phases in front of the Selkirk posts there, and the tip-on's on at certain times of the game. But I totally agree, Dale. Just head down there and look for the next man to support you.
Neither team has really been able to exert any sort of pressure in this game so far.
No, it's pretty level. Apart from the set piece, I think apart from that last scrum, Selkirk have definitely got an upper hand in the set piece. But other places in the field, there's not much in it, Dale. It's quite a level playing field. The scrum just in the shadow of the Selkirk posts. It's pretty quick there. Bruce Colvin is round quickly as well, just to get his body positioned in between the flanker and the number 8. He almost makes a nuisance of himself, but it's been well distributed to Craig Jackson, who lumps it downfield, and it's a huge kick from the Selkirk fly half just to relieve the pressure, and Selkirk will be pleased to see that, because there was a little bit of pressure coming from Melrose there, and Craig Jackson's just opened the release valve. 25 minutes in here, it's still Melrose 0, Selkirk 7. Throw into the line out. It's found the hands of Colvin, who launches the ball to Hutchison. Hamish Weir perhaps just a little bit in front of the kicker, is up there to chase. He's knocked the ball forward there as he looked to gather it. It almost looked like he was offside, but the assistant referees have judged that he was definitely onside, but when he was competing for the ball he's knocked it forward, so it's going to be another scrum. It's certainly not been a classic in terms of the opening 26 minutes, but you would expect nothing less in a border derby, especially one that's looking for border league glory, as the scrums disperse again and the anchored arm of Ross Maben goes the way of Selkirk, and Craig Jackson quickly takes that and kicks it downfield. He thought he spotted some space there, but it was quickly filled by David Colvin, who returns the ball. Right-footed kick into the 22. It's been watched back by Craig Jackson. He's going to be under a bit of pressure here. He looks to go alone, but he's running a little bit of danger, but one-handed manages to offload to Hamilton. And now Connor Spence now gathers the ball on the 10-metre line. A little bit of excitement and noise coming from the stand as he goes in between Whelans and McVicker. He makes really good ground and gets into the Selkirk 22. Colvin just waiting with bated breath for the ball to come out of that breakdown. And again he's there, and he's got Hutchison. Hutchison gives the ball to Ruthven, who bounces off his feet to go back centre field. Melrose not having to commit too many bodies to that breakdown, as big Tam Brown now
goes forward, but he met with a couple of ex-teammates who just charge him back towards the 22-metre line. Not making much in terms of yardage there as the ball's passed out the back to Hutchison. Hutchison finds Brett. Now Brett spills the ball out to David Colvin, who almost trips himself up. He does well to gather the ball and compose himself. High challenge coming in there from Selkirk as David Colvin was falling. But Ross McConnell now breaks free from the first challenge, and Selkirk have to rely on a second scramble there. Melrose running towards the line and Rolly Brett, but he's been wrapped up there. Now they're going to come back for the penalty, but certainly Melrose looking dangerous there when they get the ball, and I've always thought this when they play in Nat 1, when they get the ball, those two missed passes, they've got so many dangerous players out wide. The opening Aaron McComb try was close quarters off the set piece, but now David Colvin is watching that closely. The flags go up. Melrose are off the bagel. They get the 3 points. Straight down the throat of Craig Jackson, who's just going to pop this in the air and look to try and chase it. Again, pinpoint accuracy there from the Selkirk fly half, just outside the 22. As a low stabbing kick is returned from Struan Hutchison. Hamilton finds Whelans. Now Whelans has got a chance to try and open up as he drags the defence across, and it's good play from the fullback, and now Cottrell just puts it on the toe, and now he looks like he's stole a march on David Colvin. If he can gather his own kick, this is going to be a great try from Selkirk, and Cottrell gets there for a score, and it was an excellent score there from Selkirk. Well worked from Finlay Whelans at fullback, just drew in the defenders, and it was just a matter of tipping on, and some individual brilliance there from Ryan Cottrell, just kicking ahead, getting ahead of David Colvin and getting the score. And it's the first time I did say we'd seen some rugby in the game, and all of a sudden Selkirk reply.
Yeah, fantastic try from Selkirk, it's got to be said. I mean, young Whelans there, as you said, drew the man in perfectly, just gave the perfect timing of the pass, and a wee bit of inexperience from Connor Spencer, stepped in on his man on the 2-on-1. If he just probably held out on it and used the touchline as the last man in defence, maybe would have got a bit more joy there. But when Cottrell got the ball, quality rugby player, and dropped it onto his left foot and duly rounded Dave Colvin, and a little controlled kick in there in the 5-yard line and diving the ball for the try. So superb try for Selkirk.
Conversion coming up from Craig Jackson, just on the 5-metre line, about 2 metres away from the 22 on the stand side here at Netherdale. This would stretch the lead by a couple more points, and it looks good. It's just evaded the eyesight there as the stand and got in the road, but it drifted to the left hand side. Great skill set from the outside centre. Obviously an ex-Scotland Club International representative is McClyman for Selkirk. Gathers the ball in the 22. Shafajak now, again captain side of his own 22, as Selkirk looked to control the ball and set the platform to kick downfield. It's an awkward kick downfield that McClyman eventually manages to get under control. Has been knocked forward and then knocked back by both sides, and eventually Brett gets his hands on the ball, and Connor Spence now breaks a couple of challenges. He's got two players now hankering onto him to drag him to the ground, and Bruce Colvin is looking for some options, but he's been absolutely clattered there by Luke Petty. He's not getting off the scrum half anytime soon, which I'm sure will irk the Melrose scrum half, but it was a great hit from the prop. He's seen it coming, and Bruce Colvin just not getting the options there, and he's been hit with a pretty hefty hit.
Yeah, just nobody to pass to there, no options there. Melrose didn't really snap in from that defence into attack mode, and Bruce Colvin was just looking for somebody to come off his shoulder. You could see it from up here, but unfortunately it didn't come. And when a loose head prop gets a chance to hit a 9, they're going to do it every time. And especially Luke Petty, with his history with Melrose as well, he gave the old man a good clattering.
He certainly didn't get up the quickest. I've seen Coastal Erosion move quicker. He was lying on top of Bruce Colvin for a sustained period before he eventually got up to his feet, but it was a textbook hit there from Luke Petty. As we approach the last 5 minutes of the first half here, now Hamilton popping the ball into the scrum, and it's looking like that scrum has got a little bit of go forward there from Selkirk, a little rag of the head there from Shafajak, certainly showing no fatigue. There's a little sarcastic rub of the head to replacement Dobie. It shows that the Selkirk dominance up front, and Craig Jackson's just going to kick downfield for the line-out.
You look at this, Dale, on the 12 points to 3, there's 5 minutes to go in this first half, and we're just about at the stage where Melrose need to get the next points. If Selkirk get more points before half time, it's going to be a long way back for Melrose.
you would feel that if they don't concede in the next 5 minutes, they'll be relatively happy and know that they've still got the game to go for. But I totally agree, Graeme. I think another score here might just take the wind out of Melrose sails, and it'll be an uphill battle in the second half as Riddle throws into the line out. Again, very accurate there as he finds head. It's been brought down. Nixon goes blind. He's run down an alley there as Colvin is all over him, but the support does arrive for Selkirk as Jack Hamilton slows play down, protected well by the forwards as head tips on. Now Craig Jackson, cross-field kick, is just catapulted into the sky. Hamish Weir was up for that, but it has eventually fallen into the hands of a Selkirk player. Finlay Whelans was the player and perhaps orchestrated the last try, and Selkirk looked to try and get play underway. Robin, another knock-on from James Head.
Yeah, I make that 3, Dale. But I'm not going to say any more than that, and I'm definitely not going to say any more in the office tomorrow. Absolutely, I'm not.
I think that's a disciplinary at the Mortgage Hub tomorrow. It's certainly uncharacteristic from James Head, because when he does,
in fairness,
when he gets the ball in hand, he's a dangerous player to try and bring down. But certainly in terms of handling, it's not been as fine a showing. But the penalty was there for Selkirk, and they kicked downfield, and it is going to be a throw into the line out for Bruce Riddle.
Fairness to James, he's not played masses of rugby. Like the Selkirk haven't, but he's not played masses of rugby in the last 2 or 3 months.
A very quick climb down as well from Robin Purdie.
Have you seen the size of him?
Yes, I have, and he's offering his services at the line out there as he manages to hoist Andrew McComb high. Now Selkirk look to try and get a nudge on up front, 5 metres away from the Melrose line. Graeme Dodds was just alluding that Melrose can ill afford to concede points now. Jack Hamilton just scampering away, looking to try and dislodge the defence, but the Selkirk momentum keeps getting closer and closer towards that line. It trundles over. Ross Maben has got a little look at that, but it has been held up by Melrose, so it's going to be a goal line dropout here. And again at the Mall, well defended by Melrose.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have been good in that department defensively. They've not given Selkirk any easy outs anyway in the driving mauls, and I think it's just the really important parts of the game from a Melrose point of view. They've got to come away with not conceding here. As you say, they go into the sheds at half time, 12-3 down. They'll be quite happy with that, really, the way the first half's gone.
Struan Hutchison inside his own goal area just drops the ball and kicks it downfield, but it looks like he's going to kick the ball out in the full. Ross Maben is just having a little conversation, and I think it's the obvious option here in terms of what they would aim for.
Yeah, that's as uncharacteristic an error as you're ever likely to see from a hugely accomplished player. He'll be disappointed with that, Struan, and that's Selkirk back with the pressure on exactly where they want to be with a minute or so left in this half.
Hamilton pops the ball in. Bruce Colvin remonstrating with the assistant referees as the scrum starts to crane forward. Has been picked pretty early there from Andrew McComb, and he's been driven back by the Melrose defence, but Hamilton does get there. He waits for the forwards to filter around and get into position. Nixon is the first player there with his hand up for Selkirk, and Hamilton goes against the grain, tips on to McComb. He charges towards the Melrose line, but he's been brought down 4 metres shy. Ross Nixon did have his paws on the ball there, but he was watched closely there by Dobie. Now Craig Jackson takes the ball forward and again concedes some territories. He's wrapped up well there by Rolly Brett. Selkirk knocking at the door, but they're getting absolutely no answer from the Melrose defence. Hamilton now finds McClyman, who looks to try and weasel his way through the contact. He's been met with again by a couple of Melrose bodies there, looking to drive the Selkirk back row back. Now Jackson filters the ball to Cottrell. Cottrell's got Whelans coming on an acute line, but he's been hammered there by the Melrose defence, and now the hands are in there from Melrose. It looked like the ball had almost squirmed out, but I think that Elliot Ruthven is guilty of digging the ball out when it was well secured there in at the breakdown. And I wonder if Craig Jackson is going to stab this into the corner, and he's going to do just that, and we know what's coming next.
Yeah, it'll be up to Melrose, to continue their good defences, driving line out from a pretty strong Selkirk pack, and as it gets closer, must be the last couple of plays here before half time, and ever important. I've talked about it for the last 5 minutes, but it's getting more and more important now that from a Melrose point of view, they just hold on to this 12-3 deficit. Throw into the line out there is accurate from Selkirk, and they're digging about and they're looking to try and get that ball back, but the Melrose defence there from the Mall is pretty strong, but the Selkirk breakaway group managed to
galvanise himself and get closer towards that Melrose line. Hamilton finds Nixon. He dances and weaves his way out of trouble in the first instance, and then looks to have a bite at the line but brings it back. Bruce Riddle craning his neck to see the options there, and he's got some support, but he's been well wrapped up by the Melrose defence yet again. Another bite of the cherry there for Selkirk. Again, still short of that line. Hamilton now sizing up his options. A little slap to tell Petty to get out of the road. Jackson throws the dummy, goes back into traffic. He's been wrapped up again. And the Melrose players, Rolly Brett and all, managed to get onto the Selkirk fly half, but the ball does come back on a Selkirk side. Shafajak and Head and McComb all there, presented back, and now we've got quick ball for Selkirk. It's not went back on a, it's not as quick as they'd like perhaps, and not came back on a Selkirk side. The Selkirk players getting isolated, the Melrose players all over that, and the penalty goes the way of Melrose, and they'll be pleased that their defensive work there has paid dividends.
Yeah, great defence there from Melrose. You know, they'll take big credit from that going into half time. And Rolly Brett was a standout there on a couple of occasions. Stepped out the line and put his shots in on, well, once on Craig Jackson, then on Cottrell there, and that'll be time up for half time. And that was really important for Melrose. It's going to be a good second half now.
It's a good second half. A little note of mention there from Rolly Brett, because they could perhaps have just saved Melrose in their quest for yet another Border League crown. Here at Netherdale in the Border League final at half time, it is Selkirk 12, Melrose 3. The final 40 minutes of this season's Border League campaign is underway. And the second half starts with Scott McClyman just gobbling up the ball from Struan Hutchison as he gets the second half going. And Jack Hamilton on the 22 kicks the ball over the halfway line. It's been gathered by David Colvin, who puts in a little bit of footwork to try and evade the defenders, but not on that occasion. Now Cruikshanks and drops the shoulder, and then a little round of applause and a few oohs from the crowd as well as the ball goes through the hands of Rolly Brett to find Donald Crawford. He's been met in the 10 metre line with some stern Selkirk defence, but a great tip on there from Melrose almost unlocked the Selkirk defence. A little steal on the floor, now into the hands of Andrew McComb, who's had you would probably say a breakout season for Selkirk so far. Now stabbed downfield from Craig Jackson, who just chips it forward. The Selkirk defenders get there quickly. McComb and Welsh and also Jackson and a very sizable Selkirk support show their appreciation for the defensive effort and the endeavour from the Selkirk side, but it's probably been a little bit more accurate of a start to the second half than it was the first. We've played 3 minutes of the second half here, and Melrose finally have a bit of parity up front as the scrum charges forward, and it's a great kick under pressure from Struan Hutchison, and this could dribble out and it could be a 50-22, but Finlay Whelans is well back there. A little conversation with Jack Dobie before he throws the ball in. The Selkirk players all poised and ready to try and make a mess and spoil this line out. Head gets up, but he's not able to outstretch the Melrose players there.
Don't change, Luke. Don't change.
Logan Kirk has got a few Selkirk hands on the back of his shirt as he tries to get the ball back. Melrose not able to get the length on this maul to protect the ball as well as they'd liked it. But they do win the penalty, and that's a great penalty to win from that driving maul. And what a difference Logan Kirk has made, but it looks like the referee has reversed the penalty. And is that for a bit of back chat?
I don't know, I missed that, Dale. I was just watching how kind of scrappy the row and maul was there, and the ball, as you say, no length in it at all, no real control from a Melrose point of view. It was wider than it was long, and it's a difficult thing to control when you don't know exactly where your ball is there. And Melrose won the penalty, and obviously something went on. Whether it was back chat, I think it must have been for it to be reversed as quick as that. And Mr. Maber in the middle wasn't very slow in coming forward.
I think Bruce Colvin was certainly gesturing that he felt a little bit hard done by from the earlier thing that we did perhaps outline on commentary, but I think he feels even more hard done by because I feel he was at the nucleus of that penalty there. But now from this rolling maul, and certainly it seems to be boiling over and coming into life, this final, as The box kick downfield from Jack Hamilton inside his own half, kicks it just millimetres shy of the Melrose goal line, and it is almost looked like a brilliant 50-22.
Surely a Selkirk ball, was it not?
I think the assistant referee is signalling that it's going to be a throw in to Melrose. I never expected it, so I wasn't really checking where in the park he kicked it from, but it was certainly an accurate kick from Jack Hamilton, and building on what was an impressive first half performance from the scrum half, who's managed to fight off a few players for the jersey. And all the necks now in the Netherdale stand are craned towards the Melrose goal line area as they throw into a defensive line out 5 metres from their own line. It's accurate there, they do win the penalty as well, so the pressure not being able to be put on there from Selkirk. Melrose will be able to clear their lines, but a great kick there from Jack Hamilton.
Oh, it certainly was, and I'd like to see that one on the replay tomorrow to see if that was a 50-22, but great line out throw by Kirk, who's come on for exactly that. I would have thought this second half, that's two that have been right on the money.
They're still going to have to come from behind to get themselves in a winning position in this final. That's another great line out there, hitting Will Ferry at the tail. Will Ferry, an impressive player in the back row for Melrose. Now Bruce Colvin looks to go blind, he managed to draw in the defenders, and now Hamish Weir is looking to try and break free from the Selkirk defence, but the physicality of Selkirk at the breakdown now comes forward. Then Callum Cruikshanks is penalised for coming in at the side there, and Ross Maben is going to have a little word with some of the players, maybe just to calm players down slightly.
Time off, come on. Okay. We've just had a penalty against Melrose for celebrating in your guys' faces, and your number 10 has chose to go and do the exact same thing. No, it wasn't. There's a reversal. There's a reversal. That is the decision. It can't happen. No. It's exactly the same. Yeah, no, Bruce, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Tit for tat there from Ross Maben as he gives the penalty back towards Melrose, and they're going to kick this downfield, but it does show that Maben's looking to try and keep a lid on it and control this game.
All credit to the man in the middle. He's been consistent on that one, but it's just exactly what we're saying, Dale. We've got this fiery game. That's what we want. It means that much to the players. It means that much to both clubs, and you want a bit of edge to it. Especially half an hour to go in this game, and there is that real edge to it.
Melrose looking to add to their tally of 20 border leagues. They're not going to do it with that long line out which has been gathered by Bruce Riddle. Their first victory was 1910, 1911 season. Graeme Dodds was unavailable in Selkirk. Now looking to try and kick the ball downfield, and it's ended up in the hands of Hamish Weir on the stand side here, and he manages to just escape in towards the Selkirk half, but the penalty again is going to go the way of Selkirk, and certainly a few little bits of indiscipline coming into this game. It's getting scrappy again, but certainly Selkirk will be happy to get the ball back in their hand because they're struggling to get control back of this game.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously Maben's done the Melrose attacker there, for coming in for the side and taking James' head out on the side. But I'd like to see the game flow a little bit more. It is scrappy, and just let those little things go, and try and get some phases through for everybody to see. But I know he's there to do a job, but it's in the final, just try and let it flow a little bit more.
It's certainly been stop-start. The conditions playing a little bit towards that. It's certainly still a mist above the Netherdale pitch as the rain perhaps subsides, but the moisture still lingering in the air as it's flat back there by James Head, and if that was meant, that's a beautiful bit of work from the second row. Handling was certainly not his forte in the first half, but he's lent a hand there as he's just tipped it on and now recycles himself into a position where he can carry forward. Hamilton passes to Jackson. He spots a little bit of space in behind Hamish Weir, having to scamper over towards the stand side to cover the field, but Craig Jackson kicking that out in the full. And these errors and these little unforced errors from Selkirk will allow Melrose back into the game. Logan Kirk again to throw into the line out. He's certainly had an impact in this second half as Melrose look to set up that driving maul. Again, not able to get that length on it as James Head looks to try and swim his way through that maul. It's now being lumped into the air by Bruce Colvin. It's brilliant, and Hamish Weir is putting pressure on Josh Welsh, who makes a girdle of it. It's went back on the Melrose side, and now they've got the ball in the 22. Bruce Colvin now feeds the ball to Cruikshank. He's got Brown in support. He charges forward. He's been hoisted in the air but manages to ride the challenge as Colvin now finds Hutchison. He's going for the cross-field kick. There's now a chance for David Colvin to rise highest and get this ball, but it does bobble back onto a Selkirk side inside of their own 22. There's been a knock-on from Melrose, so Selkirk will have a slight advantage to play with here. Perhaps nothing that's going to be too beneficial to their approach to this game. It's now cleared from Hamilton over the halfway line. Bruce Colvin has got some support as he looks to try and stab it back downfield. He looks like he had a couple of options there and got caught in between them. And Logan Kirk to throw into this line out, and I think he's perhaps still a yard towards the Melrose side. Good accuracy to hit the tail, and Cruikshank is there just to swallow the ball and protect it and charge it forward.
What number? Playing advantage, offside penalty, number 7. Advantage if you want it, Bruce.
The advantage coming away of Melrose now as Bruce Colvin now intelligently looks to try and size up his options.
Offside, number 7 at line out.
And currently Melrose 3, Selkirk 12. Right footed kick from David Colvin. He's watching it carefully, and he's just watching it sail through the sticks. James Bett and Callum McIntosh coming on for Selkirk to replace Bruce Riddle and Shafar Jacques, who's almost played about 50 hours of rugby in the last couple of days. But he's been withdrawn from the play just now, and straight away from the kick-off downfield, going to be a penalty to Selkirk, and they potentially can reply straight away with a pop at the post of their own, unless they want to try and stick it into the corner. But at 6 points to 12, it's certainly it's anybody's game. It's as tight as you like in a final. Just on the stand side, 5 metres in from touch, Craig Jackson would like to reply straight away with a penalty attempt of his own. And again, right footed kick, and the Melrose players are trying to get there pretty quickly, which perhaps does illustrate that it's just ghosted in front of the post to the left hand side. The fly half for Melrose makes good territory with that kick downfield to Finlay Whelans, who gathers it well to Hamilton. Hamilton finds Aaron McComb, and he's just stuck it into the sky. It's now a dangerous ball for David Colvin to try and gather, but he's been met with Ross Nixon, who scrags him. But the ball has come back on a Melrose side. The ball just spilling out of the breakdown, but it's been well swept up there by Rolly Brett.
Carried back, Sean. 6, 4, top!
Kicking the ball downfield. Craig Jackson's gathered the ball. It was a nice cut there on the Cottrell, who just dances back in field. He's got a couple of players to try and evade, but he looked like he danced and jumped out of the challenge there, jumping out of the tackle, so it's going to be a penalty to Melrose. And a little bit of aerial ping pong, but the play is back underway from Struan Hutchison. He's been ankled there by Scott McClyman, and the counter ruck comes in for Selkirk as well. Questionable whether Scott McClyman was back 10.
Ball's there, 17, lead back.
Looks like it's going to be a Selkirk ball anyway. Jack Hamilton. Oh, he tries to put a box kick in. He's on the halfway line, and it goes about a metre in front. Does end up in the hands of Callum McIntosh, and it's a bit harum-scarum here now at Netherdale.
What is going on there? You know, I think from Struan Hutchison's point of view, and I could see what he was thinking, but there was too many Selkirk defenders back 10 already. I think they were on side, and you know, that's just when, you know, at this stage of the game, 12-6, you know, Craig Jackson's just missed a pop-out goal. Just take your territory, get it down the touchline and build again. There's times to go quick, and I don't think that was one of them.
Ross,
Struan
no!
Hutchison having to go in the scrum half.
Hands down.
Box kick downfield. Does now go in towards the Selkirk half. It's been allowed to bounce. Tam Brown is hot on his heels, but Hamilton was there. It's just been powerfully passed straight into the path of Josh Welsh, who had a couple of options there, and Hamilton now finds McComey, throws the dummy. He's been wrapped up there by Hamish Weir. Hamilton does get there quickly. He's got his hands on the ball, but takes his time. James Bett now goes forward and straight into the chest of Gregor Lindsay. Nixon finds McComb. McComb's got open field now. He's now homing in on the Melrose 22, and Hamilton now has got Jackson. Jackson's kicked downfield. There's acres of space in behind. Can Selkirk get there quickly? They're not able to. And it's a loose pass there, and Finlay Whelans almost gets down and gets the score. It'll be interesting to see here if Selkirk have stretched their lead. Ross Maben is going to have a conversation with the assistant referee on the far side, Sean Niven.
Time's off. Time's off. Time's off, Luke. Time's off. No, time's off. No. Go away, please. Sean, I've not got a clear grounding. I've got a knock on and go, so goal line drop out. Got anything different?
Well, have you got your knock on over there?
Pardon, no, it's a knock on here and go before it's went dead. So goal line drop out.
Fair enough.
No try, knock on and goal line drop out.
Yeah, that's just the first little injection of quality in the last 10 or so minutes.
Struan Hutchison now from his own goal line, kicking downfield, and he does make a great distance from his goal line. He does find Craig Jackson, who's just giving it to Ross Nixon, who's just waiting there just with that job to be the battering ram in towards the Melrose defence. Hamilton being signalled to go the other way, look to come towards the stand side. Not a lot of personnel this side on the stand, but a lot of players on the far side. Physical challenges coming in there from Melrose.
Onside,
Probably
step.
just on the line of legality. Now Luke Petty certainly protecting that ball, and both arms on it as the penalty is going to come straight in front of the sticks. And you'd imagine here, as close as it is, 24 minutes into this second half, not a lot left in this Border League final. And it looks like he's pulled that, and a sarcastic cry from the Melrose fans, who will certainly look forward to seeing one of their ex-players who pull a penalty attempt. So 6 points, 8 points left out there. Whelans is going to go it alone. He's spotted a little bit of space there, but Bruce Colvin has filled it pretty quickly. A good kick downfield, but I think the scrum half's perhaps got an injury in the act to doing the attacking kick downfield. A little bit of cramp perhaps coming on for Bruce Colvin. Jack Hamilton returned the kick, but it's only just went outside the 22, and again the experience, the awareness and the spatial awareness from Colvin to cover the space and kick downfield. The players walking towards the line out on a Melrose side. Logan Kirk just gives the ball a last dry. He throws it to the line out, and it's been quicker brought down this time, and they've got the length on them all, and they've got a head of steam. It's going over towards the 22 metre line, and it's going at a head of steam. It's been about 10-15 yards now, Melrose. It's been brought to ground. Advantage coming for Melrose. Ross Maben he's not got an itchy hip anyway. He's going to his pocket. It'll be interesting to see who's going to give the yellow card to. Is it going to be Scott McClyman? He is going to probably spend the rest of this Border League final in the bin. Selkirk down to 14 men, and that is a very big yellow card.
It's a massive yellow card. He's been one of their top performers tonight, and in what is going to be a tense last 9 or 10 minutes, he's going to spend it on the sidelines, and it's been kicked into the corner, and Melrose are just inching towards that Selkirk line.
If you don't know much about rugby, they just made 20 metres from a driving line out. You would think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to drive and rumble their way over from here, but it seldom happens in rugby. What we'll see here is Logan Kirk throws into the front. It's been spoiled there as Selkirk get up and try and make a mess of it. It does come back on a Selkirk side as Callum McIntosh is fighting in there to bring the ball back. Jack Hamilton has now got it under control as he just positions it at the back of that set piece, the back of that breakdown, to kick it downfield. Hamish Weir gathers the box kick. He was to try and find a little gap in the defence, but he's been well wrapped up by Josh Welch. He's been a quiet customer in this game, but certainly defensively shown great intent there. Ferry carries forward. Bruce Colvin has got Melrose into a great position now in this final. Struan Hutchison finds Brett now, gives it to Donald Crawford. Donald Crawford's got an overlap on the far side, evades the first defender, but he's been dragged down eventually. Selkirk do bring the player down, player not releasing as well. The Melrose, the party has been penalised there. Donald Crawford, it did show you the pace and how quickly he got away from the supporting players. James Bett still with the throw-in in duties at the line out. Does find McComb straight into the breadbasket of Hamilton, who's had a great game for Selkirk, you'd have to say. Controlled stuff at the back. Bett gets himself into a favourable position from the line out in open play. Now Craig Jackson has to stoop to get that ball. Hamish Weir is watching that bobbling ball go back, but he does well to just dive in it and get it underneath his body, stop it ricocheting anywhere else. And Gavin Anderson now deep inside the Melrose half on the 10 metre line. Crawford finds Rolly Brett. Rolly Brett has got Connor Spence, who's just herring out of the line, working hard off of his wing. Tom Brown now tips the ball on, almost gathered there, but the outreaching arm there from Melrose just knocks it on. And again, Melrose, who are playing perhaps some of the best rugby of this fixture in the last 8 or so minutes, Knock on again. Pop into the scrum now for Selkirk, just inside of their own half. Andrew McComb has done well to get the ball back on his side under immense pressure from Melrose, who are fighting tooth and nail to win the territory battle and just maybe force that error from Selkirk. Craig Jackson just weaves his way out of trouble on the first occasion. Bruce Colvin was just catapulting himself out the line. Rolly Brett just slips that tackle. Selkirk up towards their own 10-metre line. Hamilton finds McComb. McComb's got some support from Cottrell, who runs that acute line back into the shoulder of Hamish Weir, who's having to dig in from his wing and defend that area well. The Selkirk players really congested there. Connor Ward, very strong second row, but he knocks on carrying the ball forward. And now Jack Dobie has now got head of steam, and he looks to find Connor Spence on the shoulder, but again he's knocked forward. The advantage is away. And now a counter-attack coming on there for Selkirk. Ball's going to come back on their side. The hands are in there from Melrose, but I think it perhaps is going to come back for the scrum, and that was an opportunity there for Melrose. You know, I think we've been saying that in the last few minutes. There's been an opportunity for Melrose just not being able to get that ball or just keep the ball in their possession.
Yeah, I think if Jack Dobie had given it a little bit quicker, you know, feed the speed, as they say, give it to the outside backs a wee bit quicker there and let them do something. To be fair, if Connor Spence had held the pass, would have been, or I'd have been singing his praises just for that little slip pass at the end there. But I'd like to see the prop given out a wee bit earlier there and see what they can do. But you know, any one of those sticks, and you know, Melrose have got a real chance of scoring a try. But unfortunately, just so far it's just not been their night.
Accurate line out there. Celtic don't compete, but Colvin gets the ball to Hutchison. Hutchison finds Brett. Brett's range of passing does find Crawford. Crawford's got David Colvin, who just kicks it downfield. It's an awkward ball to try and gather, but it's been well gathered on that far side. It's been returned downfield, and Rolly Brett now. The scrum cap on his head. It was almost going to gather that, but it has went back. Rolly Brett even thought it went forward, but Donald Crawford is now breaking free from inside his own half. Ross Maben did gesture that it went back, and Rolly Brett did believe it went forward. So the players now bundle in there from Selkirk. A couple minutes left in this final. Jack Hamilton has got the ball under his spell. And Finlay Whelans was the player that got the ball away from the breakdown. Hamilton finds McComb. McComb goes it alone. He's slightly isolated there if the Melrose players can get their hands in amongst it. Not able to, as Hamilton does get to the breakdown. They miss out Ward, and they do find McIntosh, and he twists once and then twists again. Tries to make himself as awkward as possible to tackle, as Jackson looks to just get the ball on the wrong side of Crawford, but it is eventually dribbled out off the field of play. It's going to be a throw in the line out to Melrose. They look to go quickly, but Ross Maben's going to bring that back, and it's going to be a breathless finish here at Netherdale. Ross Maben just at the adjacent to the scrum halves on the other side of the tunnel. The two scrums come together, and an eerie hush comes over Netherdale. The nervy supporters, as the nudge does come on from Melrose. The ball is at the back of that scrum, and it's been well gathered there. The hands are in from Melrose. Ross Maben is going to have a right good look at this, but it has went to Jack Hamilton. Craig Jackson kicks the ball off the field of play, and the roar that you can hear from the supporters is from the Selkirk fans, and they get over the line eventually here at Netherdale. It was definitely, by no means or any stretch of the imagination, a classic, but Selkirk will care not a jot because they've got the Border League trophy in the trophy cabinet now, a title that they've not had for about 13 years. Their last victory in 2009-2010. It finishes Melrose 6, Selkirk 12.
It was probably your classic sort of derby. Let that sort of early score in, and it kind of killed our momentum, but for a little bit. But look, we talked about it half time. I know it means very little, but we won that second half and just proved that we can compete. But it's just those little things that maybe let us down on the night. It
was a very difficult start for you. 6 minutes in, they go under the post.
Yeah, and just simple. Like, we've not really conceded many tries like this this year. Just missing that short runner. Craig Jackson put him through a hole pretty well, to be fair to him. But yeah, it just wasn't the ideal start. For us, it was about getting our set piece right. We never gave the backs an opportunity to play, and look, when we got our maul right, you've seen how much damage we could do. I thought we were outstanding in our maul defence tonight. The forwards really stuck in there. I think we got a bit more parity in the scrum in the second half, but yeah, look, it was just those little things. A couple of crucial times, a couple of overthrows, a couple of miss transfers to our plus ones, and that killed us.
Typical Border derby. I think it was pretty low scoring affair in the end, very scrappy as well, but two abiding things for me obviously the Cottrell try, but that driving maul to force that penalty was outstanding.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was behind the far post, but even I could see it going forward, and that was good to see. And look at it again; it just proves when we get it right, we can certainly we can bring that physicality up front.
So plenty of encouragement to take away from that.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a young squad as well, like a good bit of experience. We talked about it before the game. We wanted to be able to say that we can compete with the top end of the Premiership, and I don't think anyone can deny that tonight. And we've got Curry again on Saturday in the Scottish Cup, again a different challenge, and we've just got to bring our A game again.
I think it's massive. There's a couple of guys out there that's moving on, so we said that at half time we need to reward them, because we speak about the negative stuff week in, week out, and we've rewarded them. It wasn't anything pretty. I don't know if it was ever going to be, but we're happy. 12-6.
Long history, this league, the world's oldest league in rugby union, and this is only the 7th time you've won it, so that's very special.
Yeah, it's a few messages coming in for the boys on the fringes and stuff throughout the whole day, and Ross Nixon is a man of few words, and he just says, listen, 115 years, 6 times we've won it, let's make it 7 tonight. And a lot of boys just proved we've got a bit of character, and we follow Ross. He's a Selkirk stalwart. I've said that time and time again.
And yourself in the front row with Bruce Riddle and that man Vizarczyk. He was playing for Poland yesterday, he's playing for Selkirk tonight, played most of the game.
I certainly couldn't do it. I couldn't play a game tomorrow. We had a team run yesterday. It was really successful down at Philip Hall, and then we go in early and watch Zen play to 80 odd minutes for Poland, flies back in, and he's keen. He wants to get back out there and help the boys, so credit to him.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, you and Aaron McComb lifted the trophy, the Border League trophy. That will be at Philiphaugh in the cabinet proudly for the next year, so many congratulations.
Thanks very much.